Hey, John.
Hey, Eric. How you doing tonight?
Good. You're
Good.
in a different location. The
I'm in a
background is
hotel
different.
room. It's a very fancy background, I'm sure.
Yes, a lot of beige.
Yeah. Yep. Traveling again. It's all good. So, did you have a good weekend?
Yeah, I had a reasonably decent weekend. We have
Reasonably decent weekend.
we spent so I still don't have a kitchen,
Oh,
right?
I'm so sorry.
And the plumber is still recovering this week, so he hopes to come next week.
You're like, are you solidly negative?
Yeah, and so, which is fine, we're adapting. But as such, the weather has been so nice. We've been using the grill outside to cook food.
Okay.
And we had some very tasty meals over the weekend. So that was my big weekend. I think the other exciting thing I got was I got a CO2 detector. So it's this little device that you set in your office or in a room, and it will measure parts per million, CO2 parts per million, because outdoors, CO2 levels are roughly 400 parts per million. Indoors, for a healthy, well-circulated indoor area, it's 400 to 1,000. And then over 1,000, you can start, losing concentration, getting sleepy, getting headaches. The room will feel stuffy. So that's like excess CO2. So for the last few weeks, I had been, getting headaches and, my office was starting to feel stuffy. So I thought, I remembered something somewhere. I'm like, I wonder what the CO2 levels are in here. And Amazon has everything. And $50 later, I set it up and figured, all right, I will let it measure how I normally sit in my office all day long.
Okay.
Because I close the door. It's a bed. It's a 15 by 15 room. Close the door. It was at 1,500 parts per million.
Really?
Which is not. I mean, that's
not dangerous.
Not dangerous. No,
high.
Dangerous gets into the 1,000. 20,000. Really high.
Yeah.
But over 2,000 is now you're getting headaches and you're feeling. You're not being able to concentrate, those kind of things,
Interesting.
So I have been measuring the CO2 levels and figuring what to do. So I've been running a little fan in my office. I've been keeping the office door open when no one else is down in the basement. I've opened the window. The days have been nice. I've been
sleeping in your working in your own exhaled air.
Pretty much. And so right before we went to the podcast, I had closed the door and I'd been in here working, forgot about it. I'm currently at 1,100 parts per million. So
you can
I have open doors.
Go up.
Yeah, I can watch it go up. If I go breathe on it, it'll spike, because that's.
But so do you not have carbon dioxide alarms in your house?
Carbon monoxide, yes.
Oh, carbon monoxide.
Carbon monoxide is the stuff that kills
monoxide, dioxide. What's the difference?
Dioxide is what plants like.
One extra oxygen.
On that note, I also bought, it says, here are some good plants, hardy office plants that are hard to kill that help with, CO2 levels. So I went and bought some plants over the weekend as well to set around the office. So I don't know if
that you can don't need sunlight.
My new.
Oh, yeah.
Snake plants. So snake plants are the.
That's why they have them in offices. Okay.
Yes. Because they're hard to kill. They grow fine anywhere, but the more light they have, the better they grow. But they don't die without light. So they just grow slower. Anyways, so that was kind of this last week. I've been checking the carbon dioxide levels in various rooms about the house to see how good our airflow is, and maybe there's some other additional things I should do. Keep the doors open, letting fresh air running
That's
the
pretty cool.
AC just in fan mode only, just to circulate air.
Sure.
So, anyways.
Well, when you get bored of testing your house, let me know. Maybe I could borrow it for a day.
Yeah. You should take it.
My office is not enclosed, so I doubt that that would wind up being a problem in my office. But it would still be fun.
In general, our house in general is somewhere between 700 and 900. I've been putting it in different rooms in the house and let it sit for a few hours.
Yeah.
So even in like the kind of the open air, open floor plan, like of the kitchen area and the front room, and I haven't done the bedrooms yet, but
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. That's
fun stuff.
That seems good.
Yeah.
That seems interesting.
And then the next big thing. So I had a buddy who had got permits to hike Mount St. Helens. I've had a hiatus due to COVID, not hiking, so I'm going to hike it again this year. But he got permits on Tuesday, September 8th, and my boy wanted to go. That's the second day of school. I can't, in good conscience, take him out of school the second day of school. So,
Right.
So I was like, well, okay, it'll just be me. And then on a whim, I went and checked because you can buy so many permits, and then 7 days in advance, you can sell any unused permits back to the recreation.gov website, and then give them to other people. On a whim, I went and looked, and there were 2 permits available for Monday, this upcoming Monday, the 29th.
That's exciting.
And so I grabbed them really quick, and now my boy and I both get to go hike Mount St. Helens on Monday, and we're both very excited about this.
That's awesome.
So
that's awesome. No,
it'll be fun.
I'm jealous. It would have been fun to go. And you kind of gave me an invite, but I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
So
maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe next year. Maybe with a little bit more planning. Not that there hasn't been a ton of planning on your part, but
I kind of sprung it on you because my buddy had a bunch of extras, and he was asking if I knew anybody. So I said, well, I'll ask around. And then on that whim, I checked to see, is it and 2 popped up. So I had to call my buddy and say, yeah, you can cross me off your list now too. Actually, you have more extras.
You have more extras than you thought you had. That's so funny.
No, but he can still sell his unused ones back, so it's not a big deal.
No real big loss.
Yeah.
Well, I had a really big weekend because I took Friday off to go. Well, I did 2 things. I guess I took
you were heading out camping
from Thursday afternoon. Yep, I went camping this weekend. Talk about that in a minute. But Thursday, so remember I texted you Thursday at lunchtime and said, "Hey, I'm kind of heading out. You want to go get some lunch or something?" But what I didn't really tell you was that my first plan was to go drive past the honey house where, the extractor and everything is. Cause I'd been trying to get a hold of the, people that had it reserved, for a couple of days, trying to find out if I could kind of sneak in, cause there were no open slots on the reservation sheet.
Right.
But I figured, most people only need it for a couple hours, and I only need it for a couple hours. So, I was like, well, at lunchtime, I was like, maybe I will go drive past the honey house and use that kind of as an excuse. But it turned out they were there, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're almost done. So you could totally come back later this afternoon." So I know I texted you again. I was like, never mind. False alarm. So I ran home, and then it took almost exactly an hour because I was working my butt off to try and basically pull off the supers from the hives. Because I had tried to get the bees out of the supers by putting the skateboards on, 24 hours earlier.
Right.
Not even 24 hours because it was late on Wednesday.
They didn't take the bait to escape?
Well, it really needs 24 to 48 hours. I mean, they were like 2/3 drained, but 2/3 or 1/3 the number of bees is still a lot of bees.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of go frame by frame and brush the bees off, with I've got kind of not a broom, but a little brush. And, and just, it takes time.
Yeah.
and you generate angry bees. So anyway, so I did that, because I was in the middle of the workday. I, ran up there, and then I was like, okay, I got to do that. And then, and the whole point was so I could go back at I think it was 4:00 or so. And they hypothetically you're supposed to be done by 5, but I figured I know the people semi well, not like friends or anything like that, but enough that they would recognize me and be like, oh, hey, John, what are you doing? weren't you supposed to be done by 5? And, I'd be like, I'm almost done. Anyway. But it took 2 hours and 30 minutes. And I was just working as fast as I could. Mm-hmm. But I did. I got all my honey extracted, and I don't quite know exactly how much I got, but I told you, I think it's about 13 gallons. Call it 12 or 13 gallons.
Right. And I was doing the math, and that's close to 150 pounds if the weight of honey is constant around the world.
Well, I think I'm sure that varies a little bit based on the water content.
Right.
So, and my water content was just over 18%. So it was like 18.1, 18.2 maybe, which is great. It's good. And the honey tastes very good, by the way. That, I guess at the end of the day, that's the important thing. So yeah, and I do not, that will be that's the most honey I've gotten in a year in my, however long it's been, 4 years now.
Yeah.
150 pounds is a lot.
That is a lot of honey.
The most I got before was 100. And that was the year that I kind of squinted and said, that's going to be 100 pounds. Cause I had kind of had again, not a bet, but I had told, let's call it a agreement with my wife that I would make mead and, quote, waste a whole lot of honey if I got 100 pounds of honey. and she hates the mead. I kind of think it's okay, but she's like, it tastes terrible. She's like, it tastes like it's nothing but pure alcohol. I'm like, well, it is like 20%. I guess that's 40 proof. It's pretty high. Anyway, all right, I'm off on a tangent. But anyway, so I have my honey. So are
you gonna make mead again?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that'd be fun. Why not? I've got all the equipment. So
and you got 150 pounds of honey,
right? Yeah. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do.
You could make bee hand sanitizer.
What is that?
Honey-based hand sanitizer. Isn't hand sanitizer just mostly alcohol anyways? Just figure out how to increase the alcohol content. And now you can have an organic bee-based.
Honey tends to be really sticky. That's not what you want to be washing your hands in, I think. I'm going to go.
I'm just trying to help you out.
And then the alcohol would evaporate and you'd be left with just the sticky hands.
So sell it to college and professional football players for their hands, the wide receivers, to stick them on their gloves, and baseball gloves. There you go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help you out.
Okay, I appreciate that. No bad ideas.
We are from
Oregon.
Bad ideas. Organic honey-based something, it will sell well. You'll do fine.
Sure. I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay.
All right, dude.
It's fun. All right, but then I went camping for the weekend to the Kite Festival up in Long Beach, Washington, with my brother. So he has 3 boys. So he came down with his 3 boys, and I went up with my 2 boys, and I guess that makes 7 of us. So that was fun. We played games. We went to the beach. We ate pizza. Hot dogs, campfire. But mostly, if we weren't at the beach, we were playing games, or the boys were playing games. And it was a good weekend. It was a good weekend. And that's I'm gonna be I'll use one of those things for my something fun a little bit later. So yeah, it was a good weekend. And actually, it was the first time that anybody slept in the yurt. No, second time that anybody slept in the yurt. So that was awesome. That's cool. Yeah. The amortization price of the yurt divided by number of people nights slept in is still pretty high. But that's okay.
But who else do you know? I don't know anyone else where I can say who has a yurt. It's not like people have yurts. You, my friend, have a yurt.
True. I do, but I only know the yurt guy that helped me put it up because another friend of ours has a yurt. So there is a what is it, like 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon? So there is like some sort of yurt.
I now know 2 people who own personal yurts. I've seen yurts at the state campgrounds, and we've stayed in some. Those are fun.
Yeah.
We had fun staying in the yurt.
Yeah. No, it was perfect. It was great. I mean, they brought down air mattresses. They're like, so we don't have to camp at a pitch tent? I'm like, well, not if you want to sleep in the yurt. They're like, air mattresses? I'm like, well, we don't have air mattresses, so we don't have any mattresses on there. Although I did run down, I forget if I said this or where we were in the whole.
Did your plywood fit?
It did.
Okay.
It did. That's right, because I said that like last week. Yep, it fit in. Well, 2 of them fit. The third did not. So the trundle bed underneath the bunk, I'm like, I forget if I said this last week. I was like, I am very confident that we cannot cut 3 things with the exact same dimensions and have one of them fit in the trundle bed underneath the others, because that's not the way stacking boxes work.
No.
But anyway, so then no, that did not work. And I did not take up a circular saw with me, so it did not get cut. It's just leaning against the back wall of the yurt. Okay. But that's okay.
All right.
One of the next times I'll remember to take a circular saw, as one does.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. How about we actually get on to topics? So I was not going to use this for my something fun, but I thought it was still cool this week, which was the pictures from James Webb Telescope of Jupiter.
Yeah, I saw these. These are super cool.
So I'm gonna pull a host's choice and say that's going to be follow up instead of something fun. So if you did not see the images of Jupiter this week, you should check those out. And we'll put a link and an image here. They look really cool. And I had not seen the one, I went tonight as we were doing this. I had not seen the one that said, or that was clear about the rings. I saw the close up.
Yeah.
Posted somewhere else, but the image that I thought was even cooler was the one that has the diffraction of the aurora, and then the rings, the rings of Jupiter was really cool, as well as 2 of the smaller moons.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that was cool. It says, in a wide field view, Webb sees Jupiter with its faint rings, which are 1 million times fainter than the planet, and 2 tiny moons called Amalthea and Adrastea. The fuzzy spots in the lower background are likely galaxies photobombing the Jovian view. Anyway, very cool. Very cool. There you go. Follow up.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll kind of segue that into something. I'm not really sure how to phrase it, but I don't know if you've seen protectconnect.com.
I did not.
So protectconnect.com is a site that Amazon has launched to help people understand about computer security. And it's mostly videos, and frankly, they're a little bit on the corny side of videos.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of them, but I think they work. If I would tell my parents, hey, you want to learn about multi-factor authentication, you want to learn about, phishing, what it means, go check these videos out, this website. So it's a fun little website. I don't know that it's going to take the world by storm, but it's just a bunch of fun stories of teaching people cybersecurity awareness training. So that's just a short one. You'll have to go watch the videos afterwards.
Yeah, I haven't. I was just skimming down through the site here, but
yeah, they're a little bit over the top and they're a little bit goofy, but I think they work. So go check out protectconnect.com. There's probably someone if it's a little too corny for you, there's probably someone who you can say, hey, go check these videos out if you want to know what X, Y, and Z means, or it's just some fun stuff.
Train to be an internet bodyguard.
Yeah. Trying to put in words, because the security industry, cybersecurity industry can be very...
It is awful.
Acronym heavy and domain knowledge leaning toward, there's a gap. There's a gap between the normal users and us weirdos. But
plain speak.
Yeah. So anyways, I thought it was kind of fun. So that's kind of like my first one. The second one is,
okay.
I saw that. I think you posted this in the Slack, but I saw it as well because
you stole it.
I did. I have large numbers of most of my family are on Apple devices, iPhones, iPads. They have Macs, etc. And occasionally there is a security issue with those devices for which I will text the family chat immediately or iMessage the family chat immediately saying, don't skip this update, folks. This is an update you'll want to apply. And this latest list of security vulnerabilities and updates from Apple fit in that bucket. So there are 2 reports and basically what this security update. So you want to upgrade your iPhones, your iPads, any Macs you have as soon as you can, because the current 2 vulnerabilities mean that an attacker could get complete access to your device, meaning they could do whatever they want to your device. And they could launch new apps, they could pull data from the apps, they pretty much have everything of your device. So if you have any Apple devices, you will want to update them. And so there's a little bit more detail in the NPR article that we'll link in the show notes, but that's just my second note here.
I posted that to Slack after my dad called me while we were camping, actually. And he was like, hey, I hear there's a big Apple vulnerability. Did you already patch your phone? And I was like, I'm like, I've got my phone on auto patch.
Auto update, yeah.
So I pay attention to what happens in the security industry. Generally, it's kind of part of my job. But you know what? I'm not like I don't go and say, hey, should I go deploy this now? It's far past the point where I'm just like, please go ahead, just install the updates. But after he called me, I was like, well, what vulnerability is he talking about? So I Googled it and was like, oh, well, we'll throw that in as a topic for next week. So yeah.
Nice.
But, yeah. So well done, Dad.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right. Well, I think my topic this week, I guess I brought 2, but my first topic this week is kind of similar to the one from 2 weeks ago, which was the Epic leak.
Right.
The CPU vulnerability, but this is it's a vulnerability dubbed DirtyCred, and this is a Linux exploitation that it says it, quote, swaps unprivileged kernel credentials with privileged ones to escalate privilege. So similar to the Epic leak, or any situation where you're reusing memory. That's what we're talking about here. So they it says, quote, instead of overriding any critical data fields on kernel heap, DirtyCred abuses the heap memory reuse mechanism to get privilege. So you free an in-use unprivileged credential with the vulnerability so that it thinks that memory is usable again, then allocate privileged credentials in the freed memory slot by triggering a privileged user space process. So sudo mount sshd, etc.
Right.
And then go back and reuse. You freed that memory with the vulnerability, so that app presumably doesn't know that it was actually reused. So this is, they compared it to Dirty Pipe. I think that's why they call it DirtyCred, except that this is a little bit better or worse, I guess, depending on your perspective. It says, quote, let's see, it says two things. It says, quote, first, rather than tying to a specific vulnerability, this exploitation method allows any vulnerability with a double free ability to demonstrate Dirty Pipe-like ability, the researcher said. Second, while it is like Dirty Pipe that could bypass all kernel protections, our exploitation method could even demonstrate the ability to escape the container actively that Dirty Pipe is not capable of. So a container escape. So there is a... So the link we'll post here, the link that I saw at first, at least here, is to a Hacker News article. But they have a link to the GitHub page. And the weirdest thing on the GitHub page that I was kind of like, what? Is that they actually have, they say they're running a couple of VMs and they have IP addresses and creds for you to log into the VMs to test them out. So I'm going like, maybe don't do that. At least not from your home network.
Yeah.
But anyway,
how many suckers can we find?
I found that to be a little, and I don't know, maybe that's more common than I thought, but yeah. No. Okay. And my second article is actually, in a way, this is a side channel attack.
Okay.
In the sense that, so this is a disclosure of a lot of sensitive information in particular. So this is from Israeli firm Cellebrite. They are owned by a company called Sun in Japan, or the primary ownership. And Sun was under investigation by the Japanese government for potential insider trading. And so essentially a whole bunch of Cellebrite documents. It says, quote, let's see, I should, instead of trying to paraphrase some of this stuff here, I want to actually be very clear. It says emails, invoices, and contracts from 2015 to 2017 between Israeli phone hacking firm and clients were disclosed to Japanese authorities unbeknownst to management or clients. The information is from 2015 to 2017 and includes almost 500,000 emails belonging to senior officials and directors at Cellebrite, their internal communications and exchanges with clients, invoices, and even contracts. So, it was transferred from Cellebrite to Sun Corporation, the major shareholder, and then handed over to Japanese officials without the knowledge or consent of Cellebrite's Israeli management or clients. And there's a little bit more about this. But essentially, this all came out now in a lawsuit. So the data was disclosed as part of a lawsuit. Let's see. It says, according to the documents which were appended to a financial dispute lawsuit filed against Cellebrite in Israel last month, son, quote, knowingly allowed for the dissemination of confidential information of Cellebrite, and even more importantly, of Cellebrite's customers, without requesting the regulator for any confidentiality undertaking and without limiting or mitigating such exposure.
Ouch.
So, it's an example. It's just an example of how easy it is for information to get out in one way. Because there's information in here from contacts of senior officials of the company with, government agencies and officials around the world, etc. So
if it's stored on a computer and you hook that computer up to the internet, it's on the internet. It's no longer anywho.
I mean, this is like totally banal advice, but you really, and this is just basic advice I sometimes have to remind myself, don't put or say anything in text that you wouldn't want shown to somebody else. And and in particular, if you're talking, I'll say about, but regarding somebody else or a group of somebody else's, like, frame it as if they will see it at some point.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've been around, but you're much more temperate than me, but I have definitely regretted sending emails in haste, over time. And I have gotten a little bit better, perhaps not reached the point of good where, where I can tell this is something I should really sit on for a night's sleep. Go ahead, draft it up, and then just let it sit there and come back and read it tomorrow morning. And 8 times out of 10, I'll just delete the email. I mean, it doesn't happen that often, but these days it seems like. But most of the time, it's don't get lost in the whatever emotion you're in at the moment. Especially since, again, this is for me because I think I'm a little more triggerable, perhaps than you. But I don't know. I feel like I've gotten better. I'm better now than I was 10 years ago. So, it is what it is.
Good deal.
Anyway, there you go. So, side channel in the sense that it's coming out because it was attached to a lawsuit, and it was done before that because it was being used for investigation of insider trading, and it was disclosed because they were a majority shareholder. Blah blah blah.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you didn't bring up the Twitter brouhaha. Have you seen that news? I think that came out this morning.
I have not been on news today.
Maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I've been. I just got back to the hotel. Actually, I told you this as we were kind of setting up, but I got back to the hotel and was like, 9:00 or something like that, and I was like, I'm just going to go straight to bed.
There's a Twitter whistleblower security brouhaha.
Okay.
And there's going to be testimony in front of Congress. So,
all right. Well, I will, after we're done recording here, you throw it into Slack. After we're done recording here, maybe I'll catch up on the news. It's funny. All right. But before then, how about something fun?
I think I've never really been a gamer or playing lots of video games. I mean, I had the Nintendo. We had a Wii. We got a Wii U. We got a Switch. As my kids were younger, we would mostly play Mario Kart or Mario Party or a few various games, right? Because it was fun to do with the kids. Sure. Then they all got older and kind of outgrew some of that fun stuff. But I got hooked on a video game. I mentioned before, Rocket League.
You've been playing that for a long time now.
I started during the pandemic when the pandemic kind of kicked off because it was like I'm sitting at home all the time, not doing anything. What can I do with my boy? So we started playing that. He kind of gave up, but I got hooked somehow. Well, I know how. Anyways.
All right.
So I've been getting slowly getting better, because it's definitely a game that requires some amount of skill. You play with, other teammates. It's not a solo game you do by yourself. You have to play with teammates, so you have to learn to work with other people. And I'm kind of to the point. I got to the point where just going and playing with random people was not as fun. It becomes a team game,
clan.
right? You need a group of people, friends that you can go play together.
Okay.
And I am not the most outgoing social person, and so I started
butterfly.
Yeah, I started stalking this because I'm also not 10 years old. I'm not a teenager, right? And if you look at, there's tons of videos about, YouTube channels, Twitch channels, people streaming Rocket League, but they're all, teenagers or in their 20s. So I'm not, I'm not part of this crowd.
One of these things is not like the others.
Yeah. Well, I found this Discord channel. So Discord is used heavily by gamers, something I also had to learn. My daughter has been teaching me how to use Discord properly and proper Discord etiquette.
Ooh, okay.
So I've been learning that. But I found it's called Rocket League Old Farts. And basically it's a group of old farts, older people who like to play Rocket League together. And so you get on, you follow, you can chat with other people and then team up and do games and do voice channels so you can talk to each other while you're playing the game. And kind of, it has been so fun. I've met people from New Zealand, from all over the U.S., from Hawaii, just playing for fun. And I have never
awesome.
kind of been engaged. So my something fun this week is if you are in a similar situation like me, where maybe you've hooked up on this, you're an old fart, and you like the game Rocket League, go check out the Rocket League Old Farts Discord. I mean, they got a Twitter channel, they got a Twitch channel. I'm actually signed up for a tournament for this Friday that they're going to stream on their Twitch channel. So I'm going to play in a goofy, fun tournament with them.
Okay.
This Friday. So anyways, that's my something fun. Rocket League Old Farts. I'm an old fart. I enjoy Rocket League. It fits me. I've found my people. So,
all right. Well, I know nothing about Discord etiquette, so I would step on somebody's toes or something like that. All right. Well, okay. I kind of foreshadowed it earlier, but I decided my something fun would be the game that we most enjoyed playing this past weekend. My nephews had not played this before. And when we first got there, we were like, they were like, let's play a board game. And but it was Friday afternoon and we were going to go down to the beach later, so we only really had a little bit of time. And I was like, well, this game doesn't take forever to play. I mean, it does actually take longer than I had remembered it. But, so the game is called Call to Adventure, and the link that I'll put in here is actually to the thing. I thought you would appreciate this. It's a Brandon Sanderson Way of Kings themed Call to Adventure. Now, the irony is, I bought for my family the Brandon Sanderson. Like that, I bought that this past Christmas. That was the Christmas present. We have still not played that, including this past weekend, because when my my boys were, we were packing up the car, and I was like, "Hey, go get a couple games." And they were like, "What game should we get?" And I was like, "Well, I told my brother we'd bring Splendor, and why don't you get Call to Adventure?" And so they brought the classic version, the non-Brandon Sanderson one. And when we were unpacking it, I was like, "Hey, why didn't you get the Brandon Sanderson one?" And my son was like, "I forgot all about that. That was dumb of me." Anyway, so I would very much have liked to have played the Brandon Sanderson one. I do have the Brandon Sanderson one. So, I don't know. Depending on maybe sometime if you and your son wanna play, maybe you can come over and we could play that or something like that. Or I could lend it to you.
All right.
It's a fun game because I think it's fun. There is a corny bit about it because you're kind of building. It's basically a character building game. You build your character by doing these quests and stuff like that, and you can only. There's like 3 acts: Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and Act 1 is kind of your backstory. Act 2 is what you're doing, and Act 3 is your destiny. And so at the end of the day, you can they're all kind of set up so that you can tell a story of your character by reading the titles of the quests that you did. So I was born I was born a farmer, but I was really secret royalty, but I was I was called to action, and so I defeated the pirates, or I was trained by a mage, and I blah 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 blah. Anyway, so at the end of the day, I totally made all the kids do this because I'm a mean uncle and father. Although they were mostly okay with it. I totally made them go, okay, no. The last part of the game is you have to order your cards and tell your story. And, so. Okay. Anyway, but it was totally cool. And so I very much enjoyed that, as did all the boys. And in fact, we got quite a bit of, let's play Call to Adventure again. And so there were a couple of games that made, and then, the other game we played is like a Warhammer 40K game called Relic. And that took hours and hours and hours. I don't think we didn't finish playing until the game we played till Saturday night at like 12:30 or 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, I kind of forgot how long this game was. Because we didn't start super late. I think it was a 4 or 5 hour game.
Right.
Anyway, but much fun was had by all. And cool. If you have not played Call to Adventure and you at all play board games as a family, that's a great fun game. You should check it out. There you go.
Very cool.
All right.
Well, thanks, John.
Yeah. My pleasure. And
have a good night.
Yep. I'm gonna go crash now and then fly home tomorrow morning.
I will see you when you get back.
All right. Talk to you later, Eric.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.